What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer, and in today's episode we're going to be moving on to the RPD. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, which is 38-34, which means this is going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill to the body. Also keep in mind, we don't have any separate body multipliers for this gun, however our headshot multiplier is standard at 1.4, which means our headshot damage profile is 53-47. And with this, what this means is up close, you have to hit all 3 bullets to the head if you want to reduce the number of shots to kill down to a 3-shot kill. So therefore, with this gun, without any attachments to boost your damage, headshots really aren't all that practical. But moving on, let's have a look at our rate of fire, which is 652 rounds per minute, and this is sort of right in the middle for the LMGs. It's not as fast or forgiving as the Stoner, but it is definitely faster and more forgiving than the M60. And what this means for our time to kill potential is up close on our 4-shot kill range, our time to kill is 276 milliseconds, which is very fast for this game. It's faster than all of the assault rifles and many of the SMGs, even at point blank range. Now I did also want to point out, if you manage to land 3 shots to the head up close, our time to kill potential is 184 milliseconds, which is insanely fast for this game. Moving on, let's take a look at our bullet velocity, which is 475 meters per second. This is the slowest in the LMG category, and this is quite noticeable as well. If you aren't using one of the barrels that boosts your bullet velocity, you're really going to notice this slower bullet velocity at mid to somewhat longer ranges. And speaking of ranges, let's have a look at them here. We actually have the exact same range potential as the Stoner, so our 4-shot kill range will extend out to about 50 meters. And then you can see here the suppressors will obviously be reducing your range values, and then we have some barrel attachments. Some of them reduce our ranges, and some of them increase our ranges. Also, just in case it isn't obvious, in hardcore game modes, the RPD is always a 1-shot kill at any range. Then moving into our Hipfire, we have standard Hipfire for LMGs, which in this game is actually incredible. It's better than all of the assault rifles, and it's more like an SMG, which is insane. And then we also have our idle sway here, which is fairly minimal, but there is some movement while aiming down sight with the RPD. After that, let's now have a look at our recoil, which as you can see here, there isn't that much recoil. It kicks upward a little bit and a little bit to the left, but overall this recoil is super easy to control in my opinion. Moving on, our aim down sight time is very slow at 600 milliseconds. It's not quite as slow as the Stoner, but still that doesn't mean that this is a good aim down sight time. It is painfully slow unless you stack up with attachments to improve this area. And then with our sprint out time, our stated sprint out time is 450 milliseconds. However, our actual experienced sprint out time in game is more like 300 milliseconds, which really isn't that bad, especially compared to its aim down sight time. Then getting into our reload add time, this is extremely slow at 6.52 seconds. You really have to plan out your reload time with this gun, and therefore I do generally recommend using one of these magazine attachments. I tend to lean toward the ones that speed up our reload time a little bit, rather than the ones that just increase our magazine capacity and then potentially slow down our reload time. But finally, for the base stats on this gun, let's move into movement speeds, which are pretty standard for LMGs in this game. Our base movement speed, like without sprinting or anything, is the same as all of the assault rifles in this game at 95%. However, our sprint movement speed is definitely slower than assault rifles, and our aim down sight movement speed is extremely slow. You're pretty much locked in place while aiming down sight with any of the LMGs. So taking a look at some of the strengths of this gun, first up, it's got a great time to kill potential, it's got low recoil, so it's very easy to control that recoil, and for an LMG, it's got awesome hip fire. It's quite good at just hip firing up close. On the other side of that though, with the weaknesses, we have a very slow aim down sight time since it is an LMG. We've got a slow bullet velocity, especially for an LMG where you will often be trying to challenge people at longer ranges. That definitely becomes very noticeable. And then finally, we also have a very slow reload time, so you definitely have to try and plan those reloads out in advance because you just don't have the time to do it in a stress situation. But finally, before we get into some great attachment combinations and example class setups, I wanted to go over the 2 barrels that boost your damage with this gun, and these barrels are the Task Force barrel and the Division barrel. Both of them will give you a 5% increase to your damage, and essentially what this means is it's not going to change the number of shots it takes to kill to the body at all. However, with headshots, now it only takes you 2 headshots mixed in with a body shot up close to get a 3-shot kill instead of 3 headshots. And then at longer ranges, you can actually still get a 3-shot kill, but every single bullet needs to hit the head. That's not really all that practical, but the main thing with this is up close, it's going to take you 1 less shot to the head to get a kill. and therefore these are moderately effective at improving your headshot potential. But the main thing I wanted to point out here is with the Task Force barrel, we get a really big boost to our bullet velocity, and this is the main reason I recommend the Task Force barrel. Not necessarily for that damage boost, more so for the bullet velocity and range boost. So now let's just jump right into my example class setups. The first one I've got for you guys, this one is using a suppressor, the Task Force barrel, which, like I said, I definitely recommend the Task Force barrel just because I really feel like it needs that boost to bullet velocity, and with the Task Force barrel on LMGs, it doesn't increase our recoil like it will with all of the assault rifles and SMGs, which is great. But after that, we've got the steady aim laser, because this doesn't hurt us at all, and it just makes that amazing hipfire even better. After that, we've got the 100 round speed mag, which is my preferred magazine attachment on this LMG because it doesn't hurt our aim down sight time too much, and I want to make sure I'm not hurting that too much. However, it does give us extra ammo, and it also gives us a significantly better reload time, even though it is still slow. But finally, for our last attachment here, we have the elastic wrap, which if you've got it unlocked, this is an absolute must-have for the RPD, just to significantly improve our aim down sight time. And we can see all the values for this class setup here. We've got an amazing range potential. Our velocity is significantly improved from the base bullet velocity, even though it's still not incredibly fast. Our reload time is very noticeably faster than our standard reload time. And then we've got a pretty good balance for our sprint out and aim down sight time. Our aim down sight time is almost as fast as you can get with the RPD here at 450 milliseconds. And taking this one into an example class setup, we've got the 1911 as our secondary. We've got the stim shot, semtex, and field mic. And then for perks, we're using my preferred wildcard, which is perk greed, which gives us flak jacket, as well as forward intel, which I quite like with this particular setup. Then we've got scavenger, assassin, and then finally ninja and ghost. For me, this is just a nice balanced setup where I'm trying to make up for all of the downsides of the RPD without harming any of its strengths too much, and currently at least, this is my preferred setup with this gun. As for the second setup I'm going to share for you guys here, this one is using the gunfighter wildcard, so we get 8 attachments, and with this I'm using the Axial Arms 3X optic, just because this one's designed to be a little more versatile for those longer range encounters. Once again, we do have the suppressor, Task Force barrel, and steady aim laser. We've also got the Infiltrator grip, which helps with our movement speed a good amount. I really feel like with this gun, you don't need to waste a grip attachment to improve your recoil, just because the recoil is already so good. So that's why I'd rather boost the movement speed here. Then we once again have that 100 round speed mag, that's my preferred magazine attachment, as well as the elastic wrap again, and this just leaves us with the no stock attachment, just to help a little bit with our sprint out time. And if we have a look at the stats of this setup, it's pretty much the same as the previous one. However, now we do have that longer range optic and a few other little benefits from the extra attachments that we gain. As for the rest of the class setup, with this one we've got the dual magnums. Once again, we got stim shot, frag grenade, and the assault pack, since we're not using scavenger with this one, so the assault pack's going to be great. And then finally for our perks, we've got flak jacket, assassin, and ninja. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the RPD. As for my thoughts on this gun, I quite like it. I think it's a very solid LMG. It's definitely got a lot of potential, but having said that, I do feel like the stoner is better in almost every single way. So I would much rather be using a stoner than an RPD, but that's not to say that I think the RPD is a bad gun. Of course, that is just my opinion. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the RPD in Cold War's multiplayer? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.